I'll take American war criminals for 200. This battle of Little Bighorn General graduated last in his class at West Point. It wouldn't be his last. Ooh, we were looking for General George Custer. Nick, the board's yours. I'll take American war criminals for 400. This American officer would get revenge in an infamous Atari game in 1982. Ooh, we were looking for General George Custer yet again. Are these all Custer? Yeah, I'm gonna keep it real. I've been sort of like big chillin' recently, just sort of vibing, spacing out, you feel me? What? I've been abusing prescription cough syrup? Oh, okay. All the answers for this category are either George Custer or that smiling thumbs-up chick from Abu Ghraib. Can I go now? No, we're not finished. As a male prostitute, this originally seemed like a good gig. I don't get traumatized by a smelly and angry older man, and I just gotta answer some weird questions about games, history, and dead alcoholics, but this whole thing is starting to really weird me out. Well, I don't see what's so weird about it. You should be paying me. By the time I'm done with you, you'll be a veritable expert in dead drunks and war criminals. Never again will a woman try to talk to you. And that right there? That's the dream, brother. I am heterosexual. I like when women talk to me. Ew. Whatever, I'll take Gamergate and Girl Bosses for 200. In The Last of Us Part 2, players were surprised to find themselves playing as this golf champion anti-hero.
Oh, you want to start or what?
I like to view every video as an extension of the last one, and the same applies here. We jumped from an alcoholic writer in the 20th century to 21st century cutting-edge PlayStation exclusives because it all comes down to the same things. Self-hatred, self-destruction, and of course, optimism. For every current thing which the algorithms shove into our faces, there are some who get trapped by it, forever litigating and relitigating the same points forever in their little pockets. The GameStop thing, COVID, Gamergate. There are people that, as of this moment, consider these the defining issues of today, like this day, right now. The internet is, in this way, somewhat fascinating. It's like all those Japanese dudes who kept fighting after Japan's surrender, or like when your dad took a road trip through the Southwest in the 80s and ended up getting scalped by Apache warriors at the Four Corners gift shop. Normally, none of this matters. Some misguided fellow somewhere is still blowing up Filipino villages for the glory of Emperor Hirohito. Who gives a fuck? In the case of The Last of Us Part 2, though, this does matter. By choosing to adapt these games into a big-budget prestige HBO show, we've been damned to experience that Last of Us Part 2 discourse all over again. And I hope that this time, we can get to the root of the problem. Sure, these people all told you often and loudly what their problems with Last of Us Part 2 were. But I think it's also fair to assume that the sort of person that spends half a decade on Reddit yelling about the same video game is not particularly introspective or thoughtful. I personally would not respect nor entertain the opinions of someone who stubbed their toe 5 years ago and in response set up a coffee table hate club, which is currently being monitored by the FBI for extremist rhetoric. Among the dozen or so complaints about this game, which I consider decidedly mid, is one recurring one, which, on the surface, seems a particularly stupid complaint. And yet beneath this gamer anger, I argue, lies a genuine flaw. I have been trying to be positive recently. It's not going well. The problem with getting sober is, of course, that it reminds you why you drank. I don't like this world, the people that choose to live within it, and most of all, myself. It can be difficult to overcome that very immature, misanthropic perspective. I've often quoted, you might have noticed, Kurt Vonnegut. He wrote incredibly dark stories, and yet deep down, he seems to have possessed this genuine awe at the everyday reality of human existence. If I ever should die, God forbid, let this be my epitaph. The only proof he needed for the existence of God was music. It's a sentiment which I do agree with, in theory, and yet I do struggle. There are times where the dark woods of life open up into a beautiful clearing, and there are birds and sunshine and all that nice stuff, but to enjoy that, we need to leave the dark woods behind us. We cannot enjoy the feeling of the sun on our skin if we're still mad about last week. It was all fucking cold and rainy and gross. Oh, and I slipped in some ice and I hurt my butt on the concrete. Like, fuck, who cares? Today is nice. If you took a friend on a walk and he said, yeah, today the weather's nice, but yesterday it sucked and tomorrow it's going to suck again, you're not going to take that friend on a walk again. He is exhausting, unpleasant, and just unable to enjoy the moment. Well, it might surprise you to learn then, viewer, that this friend I just described is your favorite video game dad, Joel. Has this ever happened to you? God, I'm so bored. I just wish that red hot metal was flying around my fragile human body. Well, then do I have the game for you. World of Tanks is a free-to-play game, and if you're a new player, you can use invite code COMBAT or click my link in the description to unlock the Cromwell B, receive 250,000 credits, and 7 days of premium access. My only regret is not starting to play the game sooner. Building a Tiger 131 tank in my backyard has proved an expensive and dubiously legal hobby. But by clicking my link in the description, you can use the Tiger 131 for free in up to 10 battles. Not since the collapse of the Soviet Union has it been so easy to receive military-grade weaponry. Existing players that haven't played in 30 days won't miss out with my code either, as they'll receive 3 days of premium access and all the bonuses you can see here. With a huge tank arsenal, massive PvP battles, and no payment necessary, there's never been a better time to try World of Tanks. Use my code, use it! Joel thinks the world is shit, he thinks that he is shit, he thinks that everyone is shit. The Joel which we encounter at the beginning of The Last of Us is one we understand. We saw the source of his pain and understand the significance of his loss, but it is important to keep in mind that he is an immoral and unlikable man. Like, he's wrong. If you met him, you'd hate him. He's also, he's a murderer. He murders people, like, all the time for money. But of course, Joel grows. He changes. As he takes Ellie, the girl with an immunity to the virus which has decimated the world, across the country, together they learn to be human again in an inhumane place. The Last of Us is, at the most basic level, a story about two people learning to be people again after experiencing loss. Two people who have been told by the world, all the people in it, that caring is fucking stupid and will get you killed, learn to care about each other. And that's nice. I like that. There's a problem with the story, though. In order for Joel and Ellie to learn all the nice stuff about being human and trust and all that stuff, they had to each kill about 8 million dudes. A significant step forward in their relationship is Joel trusting Ellie to kill people. Like, he's trusting her to murder. Now, of course, don't get me wrong, I'm not about to hand-wring over this. Joel and Ellie didn't run to cow. I'm gonna get back to this, just give me a minute. The Last of Us famously concludes with a revelation. Ellie was immune to the zombie fungus thing, and within her lies the cure, as we already knew, but she must be sacrificed in order to create that cure. And Joel? Joel has thoughts on that.
Jesus Christ, Joel.
The Last of Us Part 2 naturally explores the consequences of Joel's decision. A decision that was obvious. The player has seen the world of The Last of Us, and they know it's not worth saving. From the evil remnants of the government, to the evil resistance, to the evil gangs of bandits who are probably also rapists, to the evil cannibals who are definitely also rapists, Joel and Ellie traveled across the entire fucking country, and they found one group of people that is having a good time. The entire rest of the country is, from what we are shown, bandits, cannibals, zombies, jackbooted thugs, and I guess some weird lying anarchists. The Last of Us is a pretty neat and tidy little story, but the consequence of that is that the player and Joel do not learn that humanity is worth saving, or to trust people, or really anything like that. They learn that one person is worth saving. That is a bleak fucking lesson to teach people, do you understand? I would blow up the world shown to us in The Last of Us to save my cat. I would do it to save a sandwich. Consider the bandits that you fight. Like, really genuinely think about how they live. In the city of Pittsburgh, you're jumped by a gang of bandits who appear to possess 0 women and 0 children. The lack of children is even specifically remarked upon.
If you haven't noticed, they don't keep kids around. Survival of the fittest. Ugh. You're bleeding.
This is apparently intentional. On an instinctual level, we, the player, understand that these are not people just trying to survive, because they're not building anything. This is not a community constituted of men, women, and children. It's a gang of goons with no redeemable qualities and no future. Neil Druckmann, being a disgusting heteronormative breeder, asks the player to massacre a group of hundreds of young gay men due to their non-traditional polyamorous lifestyles. This makeup of the world does bother me. It is silly and ridiculously bleak. Even in, tribal whatever societies, there were outcasts and bandits with no allegiances, but consider the biography of Geronimo, a famous Apache warrior and healer, and then read it. Please read his biography. The Apache had no prisons as white men have. Instead of sending their criminals into prison, they sent them out of their tribe. These faithless, cruel, lazy, or cowardly members of the tribe were excluded in such a manner that they could not join any other tribe. Neither could they have any protections from our unwritten tribal laws. However, the life of an outlaw Indian was a hard lot, and their bands never became very large. Besides, these bands frequently provoked the wrath of the tribe and secured their own destruction. People think only the strong survive for some fucking reason. The cooperative survived, you idiot. And they survived not only because there is strength in numbers, but because the cooperative have something to survive for. What is the appeal of living like the guys in Pittsburgh? I can't get over it. Are they all gay? Did we massacre hundreds of gay men? Looks like Joel accidentally stumbled into the... What is the appeal of this lifestyle beyond forming a giant fuck pile?
We're going back to the pile.
Jump in!
Come on, everybody!
This is a genuine question that I want to ask Neil. Sure, through their sheer strength and cruelty, they secure resources in a resource-scarce environment. So fucking what? Oh wow, you got all the canned peaches. Surely you are akin to a Caesar. The world in The Last of Us Part 1 is genuinely the stupidest thing I've ever seen. It's like Mad Max, but it's not fun. I hate the world building in the first Last of Us. The most comparable post-apocalyptic setting to The Last of Us is Mad Max. I'm not joking. Because all the green stuff and the nice moments between Joel and Ellie may make it feel like this is a world with hope, but the hope exists between these two characters and nowhere else.
See how they fought for each other, this little army of two. Where were they going? So full of hope? There is no hope!
The world of The Last of Us is one long and dirty hallway filled with angry goons, which Joel and Ellie are pushed through so that they can do their little character arcs. In the show, they have women in Pittsburgh. A nice-looking lady is even in charge. I really love this casting choice, partially because I love this character actress whenever I see her, but mostly because it highlights, look at her, she's a soccer mom. In a different time and place, she'd be head of the PTA, but instead she's icing motherfuckers. That's the point. The world in the show feels so much more real and less like a game. Needed 1,000 goons to materialize out of nowhere because the player's getting bored and needs something to shoot. The world of The Last of Us, seemingly to meet the demands of players for an endless procession of morally repugnant meat to tenderize, is shallow, uninteresting, and cynical to the point of absurdity. It has all the earmarks of post-apocalyptic fiction written by Westerners who believe that without Netflix and rules, we will certainly all kill, rape, and eat each other within a single generation. Its depiction of human nature is embarrassing and demonstrates the emotional depth of a high schooler. Compared to most games, it's a good story. The two characters are consistently written and likable, they have actual arcs and inner conflicts, and the performances are really exceptionally well done. The Last of Us Part 2 re-examined Joel's decision, demonstrating how he made 30 new Joels when he made that choice. The problem with that idea is that the world you're shown in the first game is already filled with Joels. It's all Joel from top to bottom. I don't think that it is inherently wrong to feel insulted by the sequel, even if it is silly to still be seething about it on Reddit half a decade later. The second game deals more with unresolved personal issues which Ellie had, which is fine in and of itself, but to re-examine Joel's decision from a broader perspective in The Last of Us Part 2, the world had to be fundamentally changed. The Last of Us Part 2 is a 50-hour apology for a fuck-up, as it takes exhausting amounts of time to establish that, hey, women and children do exist in this world, and there are factions of people who are not cannibal rapist gangs. I really wish you showed me that the first time. If they had spent only the bare minimum amount of time in the first game just hinting that there was anything more to these people that we keep killing, then they wouldn't have had to do this. The show is not just better than the game, it's not even close.
I delivered you.
The Last of Us isn't just better as a show than as a game, it fundamentally, thematically, works in ways the original could not. In the second game, much is made of the remnants of the Fireflies, as Abby relearns through her love for others to believe in light in the darkness once more. A struggle that I myself, and I'm sure countless others, can relate to. In fact, you could argue that The Last of Us Part 2 has a much more Vonnegut-esque view of personal relationships and life itself. I'm reminded in Abby's arc of his classic Cat's Cradle. There are many dark stories which make me happy still to be alive. For the moments of humanity contained within, and also for all the cars exploding. The Last of Us certainly does not rank among these stories. I feel that it clumsily attempts to explore its themes in places where the game is unrepentantly bleak. The show takes efforts to demonstrate the humanity of this inhumane world. As a consequence, it feels real, and the questions it asks feel like questions that matter. Frankly, never before have I found a story which I so badly wanted to recommend some books and activities to. Listen, Naughty Dog, The Last of Us, Neil, whoever, it's important to always remember. No matter how corrupt, greedy, and heartless our government, our corporations, our media, and our religious and charitable institutions may become, the music will still be wonderful.
Love will abide.
Thanks for watching.
Take things in stride. Sounds like good advice, but there's no one